welcome back to Tales from the Cassette. I'm Jeff Beach,
I'm Joey Graves.
and we are going to talk about overrated bands today. We have solicited feedback from friends, much of which I don't agree with. But yes, that's the topic for this week. So hopefully everybody enjoyed our last podcast of Kiss Asylum, and actually our last two podcasts where we each picked one of our favorite albums and reviewed that album. So I thought that was very good, and it's been great. After we did that podcast, I listened to the latest off the soundboard recording. So that was kind of cool to listen to after we did the deep dive of Asylum.
That was fun. That's enjoyable. Brings back a lot of memories.
Mm-hmm.
Being 55 and listening to Paul's stage banter is a little different than when I was 16, 15, whatever it was.
It's funny because if you haven't been to a Kiss show, well, back in the 80s at least, they were a little raunchy, just at least in terms of the language used. And if you go see them, if you went to see them in their latest heyday in the reunion shows or in their last years of touring with makeup, they didn't do that anymore. So there might be a mention or something like that, but nothing like what they were doing in the 80s.
No, that was I think it was Paul's attempt to be
be like Motley Crue.
Yeah, be more I guess dangerous,
Yeah, be like Motley Crue. So, but yeah, so that was good to listen to. It was good recording. That's recommend that. Tales or Off the Soundboard just came out from Kiss in the last month for their 1985 Asylum tour with Bruce Kulick. So, and then tonight I'm wearing my commemorative Little River Band shirt because last night I watched a great documentary on yacht rock on HBO Max. You watch this?
No.
It was excellent. So it's not long, it's about an hour and a half long, but just talks about, of course that term didn't exist when the music in the 70s and 80s was being made, but how it came to be and how it sort of became classified as yacht rock. And so it all kind of stems from Steely Dan. But besides Steely Dan, guess which band was named and talked about the most during this documentary?
Jimmy Buffett.
No, he did get a mention. But one of our favorite bands was talked about throughout this documentary because they are session players on almost every yacht rock hit.
Toto.
Yes. Toto was talked about. Steve Lukather, some of the Porcaros were interviewed, and it was pretty funny because they are on so many recordings from the 70s and 80s. So they were featured prominently in this documentary. Yeah.
You just can't go anywhere without hearing about Toto, right?
I know. So highly recommend that if you haven't watched it. It's only an hour and a half. It's very interesting, just about the whole industry. The funniest part of the whole thing was when they called, just blanked on his name, the lead singer for Steely Dan. And
McDonald?
No, that's Michael McDonald's Doobie Brothers. He was in it a lot.
Doobie Brothers, sorry. I don't know. That shows you how much I pay attention to that kind of music.
the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I wonder if this guy's still alive because he was featured so prominently in the show. And then at the very end, they had a recording of the phone call where they reached out to him and said, "Hey, we'd like to talk about your music and how it fits in this genre." And he's like, "What genre is that?" And they said, "Yacht rock." And he's basically like, "Well, fuck off," and and hung up. So there you go. So Little River Band. All right, but we're going to talk about overrated bands tonight. And so before we jump right into this and be efficient about doing so tonight, I thought I'd reference your list because you passed this out to your Facebook friends. Your brother is not ever allowed to come on the show because of his hatred of Kiss. So It's just, yeah, we can't have him on. And actually, several of your friends you should go out and block because they also mentioned Kiss.
Yeah, there's several people answer. I think maybe they were just doing that just because they knew it was going to
They knew. Yeah, they were
poke at
poking
me.
you.
So
Yeah. There were some good ones on here, though. Actually, I was trying to see if any of the ones on here I chose, and it does not appear that I did. I'm certainly not going to put Journey on there. There were some other ones that I didn't put down, but I've considered.
some of them are on my list.
Okay. All right. None of these are on my list. The one is an honorable mention, and I was going to mention it.
All right. We're going to
Okay.
do honorable mentions and then top five.
I only have one honorable mention, and I'll just
Okay.
say that probably back in their strongest heyday, I would have probably listed them here, and then I have come to they've grown on me over the years, and my friends would actually say you're insane because they love this band, but that is U2. And so when U2 was, in the 80s and 90s, when they were putting out their monster albums and Joshua Tree and all that, I didn't get it. I didn't care for it, didn't buy it, didn't listen to it. And it wasn't until I saw them in tour probably twice in the last 10 years now that I've come to appreciate their music. I still don't love them. I do love them live, and I think they're excellent live. Actually, I've seen them 3 times. Saw them in the Sphere in Vegas most recently. But they would have made the list at one point. Probably not now, but I did consider them for the top 5 tonight.
All right. I'll give you an honorable mention.
Okay.
The Doors.
The Doors. Yes. They were on your Facebook. I did consider them. I like the Doors.
I know, but almost every band who's had a record contract can write at least two or three hit songs or catchy songs. I think the Doors, it was all about Jim Morrison. It was about his charisma,
his mystique.
Yeah, his mystique.
His mystique.
So I think they're overrated.
I do like their music. I can put on any Doors album with him, and I find their songs just good listening type songs, and so I know there's people that love them. Obviously, it was interesting when I was putting my list together, and I didn't put them in any particular order. Most of my groups fall into. Most of my groups are, well, I guess maybe half are more recent bands. I do have one band that was back probably in the same heyday as I almost just gave it away, of the Doors. and so, but how about we'll get into it then? You got any more? You got another honorable mention?
I don't have Oasis.
We might be talking about them in a bit.
I can also go to Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay. Yep. All right. Well, let's do the real list before we.
All right, the real list. All right.
All right. Your first one. Mine are not in order. But who's your first one? And then if we match them up, we'll talk about them together.
Nirvana.
I did consider Nirvana. I did consider. Were you ever a fan of Nirvana?
It was okay, but it wasn't. It didn't deserve the attention that it received.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know they were very popular. When "Come As You Are" was released, and then he did an unplugged program for MTV, and it'd be interesting to see if they were sort of seen in such a great light if Kurt Cobain was still alive, actually.
Well, what is it? The second album, in Utero. I mean, maybe one good song off that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, I go back to like you had a lifetime to write your debut album,
yes,
but only 3 months to write your second album, and In Utero is not a very good album.
Yeah.
So that's mine.
That's yours. Okay. All right. My first one, I'll mention them first since I accidentally just did a minute ago, is The Who.
They are. I could have said the Who on one of my
Okay. Yeah,
honorable mentions.
I cannot get into The Who. I think that, I think their pieces are very talented, Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, Keith Moon. I mean, they've got, their pieces, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I guess. I guess I know why. I don't know. They just, they're, even when like you pull their hits down and their big music, Pinball Wizard, it's like, I hate it when that song comes on. I remember they were here when they were touring a number of years ago, and I had a chance to go, and it's like I love concerts. I'll go to almost any concert, and it was like I don't want to go to that one. Luckily, I had something to do, and I didn't go. Yeah, the Who they were the last one I added to the list, but and there were several options for this spot. I don't get them at all.
So I'll take you back. You remember my freshman college roommate, Mark Moriarty, 1988, before you moved, transferred to Murray. I roomed with him, and he had a CD player.
Okay.
And he had one CD.
The Who?
The Who. I don't care for The Who, and he played that freaking CD all the time.
Yes.
And so yeah, that's my memory of The Who. Maybe that's why they're on my list. I don't know.
Yeah, I have a similar one. My first semester of college, my roommate was a huge Rush fan. And I've tried to listen to Rush and get into Rush. I can't do it. I can
get into them more than I can the ones that are on my list.
Yeah. My favorite Rush song is the one from Strange Brew that he sang on there with Bob McKenzie.
Bob and Doug McKenzie?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't get it. I didn't put them on my list, but I just never could get into Rush. I listened to their albums, and I can remember, Rush was huge, and when we were buying CDs and all that, I was thinking I should buy this Rush CD, and I think it was Presto. And I listened to it. I'm like, this is garbage. Garbage.
No, they do have some good stuff out.
I was looking for a piece of paper because I'm going to write yours down as we do this, because I like to download images when we're doing this on the podcast so I can show the bands that we're talking about. And I always forget if I've got mine written down, but I don't have yours, and I always forget. And
Nirvana was my number 5.
All right. Who was your first honorable mention?
Did I say The Doors?
Oh, you said The Doors. Okay. All right.
Oasis.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm caught up. All right. Okay. Number 2 for you.
Don't get mad.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to shut off this podcast.
Rolling Stones.
Oh, you know what? I knew you were going to say Rolling Stones because you had a poor attitude when we talked about them. I forget their new album or something.
I'm a Beatles guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, kid. I mean, yes. Have they had some great songs? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you've been making albums for 60 fucking years, you're going to have some good songs.
As I was doing the research for this, I read that argument, and my comment back for anybody that doesn't like the Rolling Stones would be that they have been very consistent over time, and regardless of the genre of music that they were playing in the 70s and 80s and all that, is they have adapted to do that and done well. So
never caught on to it. Never wondered why they were able to sell out stadiums worldwide. So
now I will say that their newest album that they came out with would have been 24, maybe it was 23, is awesome. I like their newest album a lot. So I think it's really good. And I don't really have a lot of. I've got Tattoo You somewhere around here, but I don't have a lot of Rolling Stones albums. I like a lot of their hits a lot. Like I think Some Girls album. Oh shoot, I just blanked on the song on there. But yeah, some of their songs I find extremely great. I love some of the things for the '80s. So yes, I had a feeling you might say Rolling Stone.
They're a couple. They have some good songs. They do.
All right, mine, since we've mentioned them already, and you mentioned them in your honorable mention, is Oasis.
Yep.
I can't stand that group, and I like to read things on Twitter X, and I get a lot of my news from there. I've got music links, and so I know what's going on in the music world. I have been tempted many a times to mute the word Oasis because every time they get mentioned, it's some sort of drama, and it's like, do they actually make music or do they just argue with each other?
Well, I mean, they have again a couple of good songs.
Couple,
Champagne Supernova is a good song.
yeah, it's fine.
It's a rip off of the Beatles.
Yeah,
Uh, so again, that's maybe their only great song in my mind. But other
I
than that, I
yeah.
can do without them.
I can do that. I was reading, they announced that they're going to tour again, and they made up, and I don't know if there was music involved in that, and I'm reading and just about the hype of that, and people are so excited. I'm like, what do they offer? What
I
they?
don't know.
I think they. I mean, it's like some bands. I'm like, I just don't like them. I'm like, I just can't stand this band, and they come on the radio, and I'm like, quick switch. Yeah, they're not in any of my playlists. If you'd asked me to review this album, we wouldn't do it. No. Yeah, I just this is one band, and they always come up, and they might be on the potential Hall of Fame list this year. I can't remember. Yeah, it's just like, why do they compare to any of the bands that are in the Hall of Fame? This is the kind of stuff that you're going to put in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's just no. So that is my number 2, Oasis. Before I even went to look up lists, like the first band that popped in my head, Oasis.
My number one was the first band that popped in my head.
Okay.
First
Nirvana?
band. No. I'm going from
You're
5
going
to 4.
okay.
I'm going.
Mine are not in order. Okay, so you're first. All right. So
that's fine.
What's your number 3? I guess you're number 3 either way.
Okay, we're going to get some comments about this one.
Let's generate some publicity. Go ahead.
Guns N' Roses.
Oh, it's funny. When I was putting the Who on the list, I almost put down Guns N' Roses, and it was a balance of
First album is absolutely genius.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are, 40 years later, and what else have they done?
Right.
Other they like Civil War and
a few things here and there.
Yeah, here and there, but the first album was genius. But here we are 40 years later, and they're selling out stadiums.
I know.
I don't understand it.
I don't understand. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because the reason I did not add them is, they recently did their announcement for their tour coming up in 2025. They're doing a stadium tour, and their announcement was, and it was like, I got a little excited about it, and I have no Guns N' Roses music, anywhere in my playlist, my albums, or anything. And I was kind of so I didn't put them on there because it kind of got me as well as like, oh, I'd go see that tour.
Well, I'd go.
Yeah.
I would go see them. But, anything off like Chinese Democracy or whatever they would play live, I would have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. They have a few good songs. Same thing. I thought the, Appetite for Destruction, great album. Everything after that, extremely hyped. They're not in the news for their music. I do like Slash. He shows up and plays with different people, and but yeah, I agree with you. They came close. They were consideration as I was looking at my final list, and yeah, Guns N' Roses.
The way I put my list together is how do these bands sell out stadiums and have legions of fans for decades and decades?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
some of these are the ones I don't understand.
Right. Yeah, that's the same way. I was thinking, who are bands that have monster allegiances of fans following them? That maybe they're consideration for the Hall of Fame. Like some bands, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to put a band like this on here. Somebody might put them on a list like Styx. You can call Styx overrated if you want to, but one, they aren't consideration of like one of the best bands of all time.
Right.
They're not in the Hall of Fame. Maybe they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They do have, elite fans that are, loyal to them, but they don't have. It's not like some of these other bands. Same thing. Loverboy. I mean, you can call them overrated if you want to, but they're not one of these, bands that people would. You mention their name, and they might go, "This is the best band ever." Yeah.
So like I get, like you said, I get the Guns N' Roses thing and why someone would want to go see them.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I mean, I would think they could bring in 6 to 10,000 a night, but not 50,000 people.
Right.
That's what surprises me.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned the Rolling Stones. Guns N' Roses could be a band like the Rolling Stones where they could put out music for the next 30 years and they'd probably have a mixture of good songs. They do have, I mentioned their concert tour. Their announcement for their 2025 stadium tour is pretty cool. So it's just kind of muted and you hear the background stuff. And so you have to go find that preview. It's pretty interesting. No. Yeah. All right. So that was your number 3. My next one, I'll go back with an older band, and this will make some people mad as probably as well. Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, not on my list, Floyd. But I understand it. I understand why it would make your list.
I mean, I guess if they were a Broadway show, they'd be. But it's like for actually the music stuff that they created. I mean, if not for the Wall, do they even come up in any conversations nowadays?
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, I mean, you got Dark Side of the Moon, which people rave about. Actually, as I walk to music and I like to listen to albums, and I threw that one on my list because it's considered one of the best albums of all time by some people. And I would listen to it, and I'm like, yeah, that's not good. That's good. I mean, maybe you need to be high, and maybe that was what I was missing.
Maybe that's the ticket right there.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the Hall of Fame, but I mean, they're, if you think about their, biggest song, they got Another Brick in the Wall, which I like that song. That's fine. But Money, On the Turning Away, there's not a lot. They don't have a lot of hits. Yeah, they've got Dark Side of the Moon, which all the people that were smoking marijuana back in that time bought. And then they got The Wall, which had Another Brick in the Wall on it, and people thought this is another Dark Side of the Moon, but then realized that there's not a lot else on there. Yeah, so Pink Floyd.
So keeping with the drug-induced music, the Grateful Dead.
Oh,
is my number 2.
I couldn't put Grateful Dead on my list because a friend of mine really likes them.
I don't think I've ever heard one full song from the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I
maybe that one they released in the 80s, the late 80s or middle 80s. I don't know what it was, but
Touch of Grey.
Yeah, Touch of Grey. That's it. That's the only song.
I think that generation of music is before us. I think that's the problem. Yeah.
Well, I know we have some friends who are like Susan that were really into the Grateful Dead. But
yes. Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. They don't, Grateful Dead in their, original iteration isn't around anymore, but they tour as Dead and Company. And then, some, I know people that go to that and they love that stuff. And, I think there was talk about that playing in the Sphere, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to do that. Yeah.
Skip that one. Yeah.
Skip that one. All right. I've got another one. This one's a current band. In fact, they just put a new album out recently. But I listen to their stuff and I can't tell what kind of band they are and if they're a rock band or if they're a you know, a band like, well, it's Green Day.
Green Day, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, are they like, you know, they remind me of like, you know, they try to be a heavy rock band. Um, you know, I guess they're pop punk type band. But it's just like they can't seem to figure out what they kind of band they really are, and they like to make political statements, and I'm like, you're not big enough to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they just I don't even yeah, I tried to listen to some of their music as well, and so their older stuff and you know, American Idiot, and yeah, I can't get into any of their stuff. And again, that's a band people think that should, you know, I don't think they're in the Hall of Fame yet, but they show up on the list. And it's like, okay, this band is not good. And they've sold 75 million records so far. It's like, okay, they were record of the year one year. Yeah. So not a fan of this band, you know, not as bad as Oasis, but yeah, they're on the
Yeah.
list.
Oh no, they're not. I think they're a totally different league than Oasis. But I mean, at least Green Day has they have probably about 5 songs that I know. I
Mm-hmm.
guess that
Yep.
that are probably on my playlist, but I haven't listened to an entire album.
Yeah. Yeah. So Green Day, that would be my, where are we at? Number,
That was your 4.
Yeah, 4th. All right. So you're number 1. And this is one that popped in your head right away.
Popped in my head right away. I cannot understand why they are able to sell out arena or stadium after stadium.
Okay.
Metallica.
I don't have a problem with Metallica.
The Black Album is fantastic.
Yeah.
But what have they done since?
Yeah. I guess when you create a song like Enter Sandman, you don't have to do anything else.
That's a kick-ass album. A good album.
That song gets played at every game.
I like that album. But and then they had the song, the album before the Black Album with was it One?
Well, at least that was a song.
Yeah, One. It's a song. Yeah. That's it. That's all I know off that album.
Yep.
Then I know the Black Album, and then I don't know anything since. Nothing.
No. I mean, Metallica was around when we were, you know, you and I listened to every single 80s hair band there was. If it existed, it crossed our list, and we at least, you know, listened to something from them at all time. So I can remember Metallica is another, you know, it's a rock band right in that period of time. You know, and they were popular. It's like, okay, well, we should listen to them. We're listening to everything else, garbage and not. And so, yeah, I can remember listening to them, and they, you know, because they were like, they crossed that, they throttled that line between sort of the hair band and like thrash metal.
That's what I don't. That's another reason why I don't understand them. It's like the Who, like we both pretty much both on our list. Even Guns N' Roses. I mean, they're straightforward rock and roll bands. Yeah. Whereas Metallica is like they're like heavy metal, like really heavy metal, in my opinion, and just I don't understand how they can draw like they do.
Yeah, I don't get that one either. But yeah, I do like Enter Sandman.
Oh, I love Enter Sandman. That whole album is on my playlist. I mean, I love it.
All right. Well, my number 1, again, these aren't in order. So but this was actually one of the first names that popped in my head. And I was trying to think, is this one that you had talked about that you like? So this was one you may not be pleased with, but I don't like them, is Coldplay.
Coldplay, I don't know.
No, they didn't. Okay. So I couldn't remember if that was the name that you had said, hey, you should listen to them. Okay. Coldplay is another one. They remind me of, they're like in that same Oasis, Green Day. It's like, why is the band, you know, their stuff comes on the radio and it's like, it's fine. There's nothing super exciting about it. But again, you know, they get talked about in this, you know, they've sold 100 million records. Yeah. They've got like 90 million Spotify listeners. If they can have 90 million Spotify listeners, why don't we have 100 subscribers to our podcast? But yeah, they I don't think they're in the Hall of Fame yet, but again, their name comes up. But yeah, that's another band. It's kind of like why you know yeah, they played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's yeah, their lyrics is yeah. I
So, going down, I guess looking at this list that from friends on online, the Doors were mentioned.
mm-hmm.
Uh, Jelly Roll,
Jelly Roll.
which I know who he
Jelly
is.
Roll.
But
Jelly Roll's brand new, so I don't know if he
yeah,
can be overrated yet.
yeah. Actually, a couple people said Journey.
I know. Yeah, they're blocked now.
Uh, let's see. One person even said Fleetwood Mac, the Eagles, and Nirvana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that. They're blocked as well.
Dave Matthews Band, Pearl Jam, and Rush.
I thought
Which
about those three. Yeah.
yeah, those are that's pretty strong three. Rush is I would take out Rush, but
Yeah.
U2, ACDC, Linkin Park, Blink 182.
Yeah. I didn't think Linkin Park or Blink 182 were big enough to be overrated. I was trying to stay with bands that people would say, "Hey, this might be the best band ever." And if somebody would say that, then they were in consideration of the list.
Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, I saw that. Your sister mentioned that one.
Yeah, Nickelback.
Yeah, people don't like I like one song from Nickelback.
Another person, Jelly Roll, Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
And then one person, being a smartass, said Milli Vanilli. So.
You can't do that. I think one of them's not
Well,
alive.
they were overrated because they weren't even singing.
They weren't even real. Yeah,
that's right.
but yeah, so yeah, I some of those I thought about for the list. It's interesting. The Eagles actually comes up quite a bit from people, and they, there's people that hate the Eagles for some reason. And I think they're fine. I mean, I don't think they're the best ever, but I mean, you listen to some of their albums from when they were together, and it's like they put out really good music. It's kind of
even when they were solo,
right.
They at least three of the band members produced pretty good songs. In solo. So.
And they still they put out some new music during the 2000 teens, and it was fine. That they showed they knew how to do it still, and they still tour even without Glenn Frey.
Yep.
They have a Sphere residency going on right now.
Yep.
So, which I wouldn't mind seeing. Who is it? The country singer. Is it Vince Gill?
Vince Gill.
Yeah. So Vince Gill. So yes, that is our overrated list. Yeah. Look at that in 33 minutes.
Yeah. Tell us when you in the comments after you subscribe and hit the bell and thumbs up
and comment
in the comments. Yeah, tell us what do you think about our list?
Yeah, and if we're wrong, tell us why. Just don't tell us right. And if you put Kiss in there again, we'll block you some more. And
well, I went back and forth about Kiss. Maybe not to have them on the list, but several people mentioned them.
Yes.
I believe you and I and Paul and Gene and a lot of Kiss fans believe they're bigger than what they really are.
Yeah, I think that they wouldn't be on a list like this because they are we see them as what they are. That they don't put out the best music in the world. They are a show, and we enjoy the show.
Yeah,
for what they are. We know what it is. They're not the best singers. They're not the best players. But their music's very entertaining, and it has a longevity to it. And they've been around a long time, and they've been pretty consistent about doing that same thing throughout the career. And it is what it is. And people, some people don't like their music and all that. And I'm like, it's not about that, really. It's their show.
Yeah, right.
And if you haven't seen the show, then you don't know.
Like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, they were they had a residency in Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
and they canceled it because of poor ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of tells me that
Yeah.
maybe they're not as big as we
Yeah.
imagine they are.
Yeah. It goes in waves.
Yeah.
It goes in waves. I mean, at the same time, they, their final tour dates, they were all pretty much sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Most overrated bands. That was a good one. Good show. We'll have to. I forgot to look at the list for the next show, but we'll come up with the next topic.
I think we should talk Asylum again. We got a lot of views on that.
Dive deeper in Asylum. Okay. We could pick what was it? So we could pick a year too. Pick a year in music and talk about what was coming out in that year. So all right, well, let's look at our list. We'll come up with it for our next show sometime in the next couple weeks. Again, we are on Spotify, YouTube, and we have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter page, which I have neglected, and I'm going to do a better job with this week. And like all of that, we're over 50 subscribers now. Is that right?
Yes, we are.
We are cruising. We are cruising.
We added like 5 to 7 like within the last 2 weeks.
Right. I have a marketing degree, and I go back and look at our shows and try to figure out the shows that would like drive engagement, and I haven't been able to figure it out. Because some of the shows you put down there and you're like, oh, people will like this, and nobody listens to it. And then
there was one that has one of our best shows. There's like 10 views. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't know. We'll just keep putting them out there, and we'll let the audience choose what they like. How about that? All right. So good show tonight. So like, comment, give us your feedback. If you'd like to hear a specific show, if you want to join us sometime, that might be a consideration. We've had one guest. That show went well. We could do that again. So maybe you might have to pay to come on though. We need to earn some money doing this. All right. I'm Jeff Beach.
I'm Joey Graves.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Good night.